All right, so for the scene I chose in Hoop Dreams, I chose a scene where the teacher is telling Arthur's mom that he's failing Spanish and math, and that he's also missing assignments, and it looks like he's going to fail. So my quote that I chose to relate this to was by Nichols on page 29, and it states, "A verifiable, authentic image does not necessarily guarantee the validity of larger claims made about what the image represents or means." So, in relation to this quote, it seems that they are painting the picture that Arthur will not graduate from high school and it will instead no longer be able to continue basketball and his dreams will be crushed. However, he perseveres through this in the end of the film and ends up furthering his basketball career and graduating high school. Meaning that even though the images and videos captured during the scene showed that he's not going to be able to continue this way, he still perseveres against the camera's portrayal of his academic work, which agrees with Nichols' statement that a verifiable, authentic image does not necessarily guarantee the validity of larger claims made about what the image represents or means.
Did you have some questions from that film as well?
Yeah, so then I just had one question. I said, did you feel like they were misleading at all when how they portrayed William and Arthur's lives through the film?
Honestly, I don't think so. I mean, they followed these two kids for like 5 years, recording their entire high school experience. I think that what the film eventually showed was a very truthful uh telling of their stories.
Okay, yeah, that's okay. Yeah.
Um, and that kind of goes with the scene I wanted to talk about. The scene I wanted to talk about was when Arthur and his parents and the basketball coach at St. Joseph's were talking about the cost of tuition and how Arthur's family was under the impression that a lot of the struggles that he would have attending that school would be taken care of, like, getting to school on time, um, which was like a 90-minute journey from inner city Chicago, I believe.
Hmm.
Um, but a lot of those things just weren't taken care of by the school. Um, so, and then the tuition increased in his sophomore year, and things just went terribly for him there. And so, also in Bill Nichols' article, he talks about how documentary filmmakers often take on the role of public representatives, and I think that specifically this film speaks in part to that, showing how the lower income students who are basically preyed on by the talent scouts to come to this school and then eventually fail out because they can't afford it.
Mm. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. It's a great quote and a great explanation of the scene. Do you have any questions about this film?
Yeah, my main question was that this film came out in 1994, so I was wondering if you think it is or still should be relevant to this day.
So I would say it maybe isn't as relevant to this day just because, we have more, technology in school, and I just feel like school's a lot different than it used to be.
Hmm.
But as much as like the struggle and the issues that they face through going to school and like, overcoming those struggles, I feel like that is still relevant to this day.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. I mean, specifically in like a lower income area like that, having the chance to get out is definitely still a thing that happens today. Like,
Yeah, definitely.
being good at sports and being able to get a scholarship to a good school and actually graduate high school and college. I think those are still things that happen.
Yeah.
I think it's a truthful telling of the story.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree with that. Okay, so do you want to talk about Sanson and Me next?
Sure, yeah.
Okay.
Um, yeah, the scene I wanted to talk about for Sanson was when the filmmaker Reyes was creating his storyboard for the film. And then
Mhm.
another scene was when they were at like the bull riding arena and Reyes was talking about how Sanson had stopped writing letters back to him.
Mhm.
Um, and in the first scene, when he's making the storyboard, Reyes is talking about how he's telling Sanson that he's worried about the film's funding, because nobody really wanted to tell the story of an incarcerated person.
Mhm.
And Sanson was writing back that he had a lot of faith in this film and that he wanted to continue making it. But then only a couple scenes later, uh, Reyes is writing to Sanson and saying he's worried because he's not hearing anything back from Sanson. So he's wondering if he still wants to continue the movie. And that's because of their differing opinions. But ultimately, Sanson decided to continue with the movie, obviously, because it was made.
Mhm.
And I think in relation to the text, Reyes was taking on the role of the representative here, deciding to still showcase Sanson's story despite the difficulties they had in its creation, um, both with him not being able to film in the prison or actually get the actor or Sanson himself to play himself in the movie.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And I think that actually has a really good relation to the quote that I chose. With them having differing opinions and the director, taking on the role of representing his story, I mean, still does not guarantee the validity of the director being accurate or not changing Sanson's words. So I think this relates to the scene where they were recreating Sanson's childhood and showing the joy, but also the struggles he faced growing up.
Hmm.
And relating it to Nichols' text, having the scene being a recreation is not an accurate portrayal of the real childhood that Sanson faced while growing up. It also leaves room for there to be misconstrued parts and parts shown that could be entirely made up for the camera value, meaning that the images shown in the documentary are not authentic images and are not a very good portrayal of his childhood. As well as him being played by an actor throughout these scenes does not help with these scenes being more accurate or authentic to his time growing up, which I feel like really did relate to your quote that you stated.
Hmm. Yeah, for sure. I was wondering actually what you thought of the using the combination of like narrative and documentary styles in that movie.
I think that using the style of narrative and also documentary, um, I mean, it does help, with the telling of a story.
Hmm.
But at the same time, I feel like having an actor and it not really being like a real documentary doesn't really help, like I said, with the like validity of his story. And
Right.
I don't know if it's giving an accurate representation.
Hmm. Yeah, I thought it was a an interesting choice um, to like tell the story using his family. But I totally see where you're coming from. How it's not like super truthful,
Yeah.
because it's Sandstone's story through a letter being told by the filmmaker with actors,
Yeah.
which is kind of a lot.
Definitely a lot. Yeah.
Other question, uh,
Sure.
how did you see the relationship between Reyes and Sanson, and did you believe that they were actually close friends?
Based on, the whole them not really agreeing at the beginning and everything. So I don't know if they really are friends. Or
Hmm.
maybe he's just saying that so we get to believe his story a little bit better, like the director's story. I guess they did end up working together. So maybe they did work out their differences.
Hmm.
So I don't know. I'm still a little hesitant on whether they are good friends or not.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah. What would you think?
Um, well, when he came to class, he was saying that they were still talking. I think he
Oh yeah,
said that
that's a good point.
people in California who are incarcerated have access to texting now. So I believe
Oh
they
wow.
text quite often, which is cool.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
well, if I guess I'm still texting,
yeah,
then maybe they have worked out their differences.
yeah. Or, just being in such close contact for so long, they eventually did become really good friends.
That's a good point. That's also very true.
Yeah.
Mhm. And
Did you
then
have any questions about that one?
yeah, so one question I think I would ask you is again about my quote. And I said, do you feel having Sanson's childhood be recreated feels inauthentic to you?
Um, as I was saying, it is kind of strange that, he he used his family as actors to tell the story that he was telling him through letters.
Mhm.
So I don't know if inauthentic is the right word, but maybe just a little more challenging, I
Oh
would say.
yeah, okay.
Um, but yeah, I think it definitely kind of takes away from the the more truthful aspects of the story.
Okay, nice. Yeah, I'd have to agree with you on that. But I think what you said about it being more difficult is definitely a good way to take it also.
Yeah. I
Well,
had one last question.
mhm.
Um, do you feel that both of the films were consensual in their portrayals of their subjects?
I think definitely yes for Sanson and me, since they, he did work with the director and they did end up, working together. And like you said, they're still texting and stuff. So I feel like yes, for Sanson and me, it is consensual.
Mm-hmm.
But for Hoop Dreams, I'm not, I'm, I'm not too positive because they are still children and
Right.
minors. So I don't know if they are, really consenting or really knew what the documentary meant when they're going into it.
Yeah.
Like they could obviously be like, yeah, yeah, no, I totally want a documentary about my life. And you know what I mean? They could agree with it in the statement right there. However, I feel like that because they're still children, they don't quite understand, or still minors, that they don't quite understand like how much this could affect them in the future.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
so, yeah. So I don't know, but yeah.
And we were talking in class about how St. Joseph's actually had like a lawsuit against the directors because they weren't happy with their portrayal that ended up in the movie.
That's right. That's right. So then again, that just, I mean, I think that definitely is it further proves that it was not as consensual as you might think.
Yeah. Or maybe it was and they were just crazy.
No, that's true. That's also a good point. That's actually a good point too. Yeah, that could also be it.
Because I mean, what was filmed is what went into the movie. It's not like they
That's true.
were, changing their words or anything.
Right. That's yeah, because it is a documentary still at the end of the day.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, I think that's all I had.
Yeah, that's all I had too.
Okay.
Thank you for meeting with me today.
Yeah, of course. I'm glad we got this opportunity.
Me too.
All right. Bye.
Okay. Bye.